Hey everybody, this is the man from Brooklyn again. Let me share you a little about myself, being raised in Brooklyn, New York. I was raised in Bedford-Stuyvesant, New York, back in the mid '70s and '80s, and that was one of the hardest areas in crime, and it was kind of a bad neighborhood. And then from there, I moved on to East Flatbush, up in the Flatbush area, and that area was a little different. Uh, it was made up of Italians, Irish. I hate to say the mob. We had where I was up in the upper side. We had a lot of crime and like everybody else. But I guess being raised going back a little bit in the hood, as we may say, in the high crime area, and going from there to another, and then going in the area where you had another nationality being raised there. Crime is crime. It make no difference who's doing it. But it was just interesting. In one area you had street crime. In the other area you had upper class, or what we call white collar crime. And back being in the Flatbush, being raised in that area, it was a little different. You see a lot of things going on that shouldn't be going on. And then me working in the law enforcement in that area, and you seen a lot of things that you wish you haven't saw. I remember some things where I was hanging out with some of my buddies, and someone was Irish and someone was Italians, and I asked one Italian guy, I said, "What happened to this guy?" They said he took a ride. And the common sense could tell you what kind of ride he took, the ride that he didn't come back. And I seen quite a few that ended up in the Bensonhurst area during that time, because you got to understand, back that time, you had street crime. The mob was very active in the '80s and the '70s, and then you had your drugs also going on during that time, and it was rough. I'm not gonna exaggerate. It was rough. I remember one case where we had two corrupt cops in the '80s. You could go on YouTube and look that up. And I remember everybody was saying, "Who's killing these folks around here?" And they tried to blame it on another nationality and stuff, and found out the cops was running around killing folks and hitting them and stuff. And they was wound up dead, and then they had an investigation and caught them. And then also I was living up there in Brooklyn when you had another case going on, and where you had a cop and informant turned over on the whole New York City Police Department, had put them in jail. I was led to share this, me coming from a big city. So not too much I haven't seen, and plus serving, my serving the army. And I'm still here today, so let you know that God is forgiving God. He forgives you for anything you do, and you just got to give it to Him. But I was led to share this with you, that everybody don't come from the same culture and the same background. So you got to remember, you have to understand what culture they come from. You may have someone born here in the South. You may have someone born in the North. You may have someone come from upstate New York. So you're going to have a different culture. I remember a guy told me one time, let me slow down a little bit. He said, "I'm from New York City." And he said he was from Buffalo, New York. And I almost fell out laughing. Because we Yankees, if you're not from the first five boroughs, we don't really consider you from New York, even though you're from the state of New York. But to us, I guess we kind of bias in a way. If you're not from Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Bronx, and Staten Island, we don't consider you a real Yankee. Because being born in the suburbs is a lot different than being born in the five boroughs. Trust me. I was looking at YouTube earlier today, and when I was there, none of this stuff going. Now the neighborhoods have changed so dramatically. For instance, I was watching a YouTube video where Bedford-Stuyvesant was made up of mostly street crimes, just so happened to be African Americans. Now the whites have brought it over, and the other nationalities, and the Irish and whatever, and they brought half of Bedford-Stuyvesant out and brought the brownstone house, especially up in Warrensburg, where most of the Jewish folks live. They brought some of that too. So things going to revolve. You can't stop change. You can slow it down, but you can't stop it. Change is going to happen. If it got to happen when you dead and gone, it's still going to happen. So that course, people bring back and say, "Well, these was the good old days." That depends on your perspective and who you're talking about. Because I remember when I was up and going back to Brooklyn, a lot of folks said, well, back in these days, I say, yeah, it may be good for you, but it wasn't good for us. You can figure out where I'm going at. So I'm bringing this to you to let you know, remember, you have different cultures. Even from being down here in Alabama, from the Yankees moving to Alabama is entirely different. Most of the Southerners have to grow, we had to grow on them and they had to grow on us. And a dramatic change down here. From the 60s to the 70s, the 80s, 90s, now you got 2020, it still changes. You may slow it down, but you're not going to stop growth. There's no way that's impossible to stop. So, your folks stressing yourself out, saying, well, the change is going to happen. We all getting old. I'm getting old myself. And I was led to share this message with you, let you know that everybody, again, I want to emphasize, do not have the same culture. So you need to sit back and relax, and chill out, and shut up and listen. And that's the best thing. When you shut up and listen, then you can react. And also, from my experience, I found those who talk the most of the time ain't telling the truth anyway. They talk too much. And then when they talk too much, their mouth usually get them in trouble and they get trapped in something they got no business into because they just get out there and spread rumors and gossip. And if you remember, I always share with you, if you're around negative people, try to stay away from them because you ain't going to prosper hanging around negative people. Negative people is going to make you depressed and you're not going to go nowhere. So remember that. I'm sharing this message with you because I believe somebody needs this message. And that's my thought for the day. And I will be back here next week, Sunday, sharing you another message by God's willing. And remember, please don't forget to subscribe on the right-hand side. And y'all have a blessed day.